Discover the miraculous transformations revealed in the sacred journey of the Book of Numbers. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, as the Israelites camped at the foot of Mount Sinai, a divine command echoed through the sun-bleached sands of their encampment. Take a census of the people, the Lord instructed Moses. A stir of curiosity and apprehension swept across the multitudes, their hearts alive with the knowledge of their covenant with the Almighty. Each family emerged from their tents, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and uncertainty, as the tribes lined up in formation, a striking contrast to the dry winds that danced around them. Before Moses and Aaron, the fierce warriors of Judah stood tall, exuding strength, while the steadfast Levites held sacred roles woven deeply into the fabric of their community. As each tribe's names were called, reminders of God's promises cascaded through the air. They were a people intertwined with destiny, renewed with every affirmation that the land flowing with milk and honey awaited them. Yet this moment of unity began to tremble under a shroud of impending discord. Korah, a prominent Levite, stirred the pot of dissatisfaction. Why should Moses alone lead us, he dared to question, his words igniting a wildfire of discontent that licked through the ranks like a serpent through tall grass. Whispers of rebellion slithered among the people, emboldened by disobedience. The soaring moments of faith were now burdened by uncertainty. Moses, crushed by the weight of his calling, threw himself upon the sandy earth, imploring the Lord for mercy amidst the brewing insurrection. What would the price of this rebellion be, he fretted, for a people bound by covenant? As the tension thickened, the ground quaked sharply beneath their feet, and a consuming silence shrouded the camp. In that profound stillness, the Almighty revealed His fierce justice. The earth opened up with a dreadful crack, swallowing Korah and the insubordinate rebels whole, a vivid testament of divine authority that struck fear into the hearts of all witnesses. In awe, the gathered Israelites grasped the gravity of disobedience. Echoes of God's faithfulness as their liberator from Egypt roared through their hearts. Meanwhile, the days grew long, and the struggles multiplied. Voices rose in complaint, questioning God's provision, and echoing grievances towards one another. Yet, as dawn broke, the witness of a miraculous covering of manna brought stellar light to their despair, a reminder of God's continual sustenance. What is it, they asked, their wonder glorifying the very necessity of dependence upon the Lord. Before long, the people found themselves parched and thirsty before a barren rock. Frustrated and fatigued, Moses struck the stone in anger rather than obeying God's decree to speak to it, resulting in a fateful disqualification. Sorrow pierced through the air, enveloping the camp as they understood that the leader, once promised to enter the land, would not tread upon its soil. Yet amidst the shadows, God provided a bronze serpent, suspended upon a pole, for the wounded hearts. "Look and be healed," proclaimed Moses to all whose impatience had uncoiled like a viper. The wind of divine deliverance rustled gently through the camp, signaling a future marked not only by trials but woven with promises both now fulfilled and awaiting at the edge of the land of their fathers. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the Israelites pressed forward, stories of miracles and warnings resided deeply within their hearts, each step a profound echo of God's faithfulness through every challenge. The horizon loomed ahead, glimmering with both promise and peril. Would they endure the trials? Trust in His sovereignty? Continue seeking the inheritance that lay just beyond the void? And it came to pass, as the Israelites moved forward in the wilderness, they encountered the kings of Edom and Moab, who would not allow them to pass through their lands. The children of Israel, weary from their journey, sent messengers unto the king of Edom, saying, "Let us pass, I pray thee, through thy land. We will not pass through the fields or the vineyards, neither will we drink of the water of the wells. We will go by the king's highway, we will not turn to the right hand nor to the left, until we have passed thy borders. But the king of Edom answered, Thou shalt not pass by me, lest I come out against thee with the sword. Thus, the Israelites turned away from him, and the wilderness stretched out before them like a vast ocean of dust and hardship. Then the people grew restless and spoke against God and against Moses, saying, Why have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. The anger of the Lord was kindled against the people, and he sent fiery serpents among them, and they bit the people, and much of Israel died. And the people came to Moses, crying out, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord, that he take away the serpents from us. Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord instructed him, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass, that every one that is bitten, when he looketh upon it, shall live. Moses made a serpent of brass and put it upon a pole, and it came to pass, that when a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. The people marveled at the mercy of God, realizing that even amidst their rebellion, he provided a way to salvation. As they continued their journey, they came to the plains of Moab, and there, the Lord directed Moses to ascend Mount Nebo, which is over against Jericho. The Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea. And the Lord said unto Moses, This is the land which I swore unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. The heart of Moses was heavy, for he had led the people through trials and witnessed to God's wonders, yet would not enter the promised land. In that moment of divine revelation, the Lord reminded Moses of his everlasting covenant. In the shadows of despair, a flicker of hope emerged, revealing that although Moses would not enter the land, the legacy of faith would carry through his successor, Joshua. But now, as the sun began to set on the horizon of Moab, a deeper mystery unfolded: what awaited Israel in this land promised. And who would rise up among them to fulfill the true calling ordained from ages past? For in every ending, God wove the threads of his sovereign plan, and the hearts of the faithful held fast to the echoes of grace, looking towards the fulfillment of his promises that were yet to be revealed. The hearts of the people remained restless and longing, echoing the deep cry of human need. Would they heed the call to embrace the path laid before them? For unseen were the trials that stood as pillars of testing upon the threshold of glory. And it came to pass, as the children of Israel lingered in the plains of Moab, their eyes fixed upon the horizon, longing for the land promised to their forefathers. The Lord spoke unto Moses once more, saying, Gather the congregation, and they shall hear my words, for I have not forsaken them amid their tribulations. Moses, filled with both trepidation and resolve, called the people together at the edge of the camp. With the sun casting its golden rays upon the assembly, he said, Hearken, O Israel, for the Lord your God has drawn near unto you. Remember the wonder of his deliverance, and the trials that have walked with you as shadows upon this journey. For every challenge is but a refining fire, to test your hearts and prove your faith. The crowd murmured among themselves, each man and woman recalling the trials they had faced: the bitter waters of Marah, the hunger of the wilderness, and the fear of the enemies before them. And Moses continued, Behold, the Lord will set before you blessings and curses, life and death. Choose life, that you may live, and be multiplied upon the earth. As he spoke, there arose a silence among them, a holy stillness that accompanied the acknowledgement of their journey's purpose. Then, by the hand of the Lord, Moses took up a scroll, and he began to record the commands and statutes given to them from Sinai, ensuring that they would be a people who remembered the ways of their God. In the coming days, as you cross over into the land which the Lord thy God gives you, do not forget the covenant made with your fathers, he implored. For I shall bless those who seek me with all their heart and soul. And what you do in the land shall be as light unto the nations, a reflection of his grace and truth. Yet, as he spoke, trepidation gripped the heart of the congregation, for the knowledge of their frailty overshadowed the faith in their hopes. One among them, a wise man named Caleb, rose and declared, "Moses, we are but grasshoppers in our own sight before the giants of the land. Yet, our God has shown us his mighty hand. If he is with us, who can stand against us?" His words ignited a spark within the assembly, yet doubt lingered as well. And so, Israel faced a pivotal moment: would they follow the path of fear or embrace the robust promise of the Almighty? As days turned into nights, the elders gathered to discern the voices of their forefathers, those who had walked the same paths of faith, recalling the stories of deliverance sung by Miriam by the sea. They questioned what it truly meant to trust, as fear along with murmurs of rebellion threatened to rise again. Then the Lord called upon Joshua, saying, "Be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the people into the land which I swore unto their fathers. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you." The weight of this charge settled heavily upon Joshua, and he felt both the awe of the moment and the uncertainty of the hearts around him. "The Lord will prepare a way, for he is our refuge in the storm," he spoke, his voice resolute, seeking to anchor the consensus of the people. And so, the whispers of God's covenant intertwined with the hesitations of the assembled multitude, as they stood at the brink of divine promise, uncertain yet hopeful. What marvels awaited them across the Jordan? What legacy of faith would be born in the land flowing with milk and honey? The air crackled with anticipation, for the journey was far from over, and the unfolding of God's sovereign plan would soon begin to unravel as they prepared to set their feet upon the land of their inheritance. Thus, they faced the dawn of a new chapter, their hearts aligned in purpose, yet still longing for the fullness of his promises that would draw them ever closer to the depths of his unfathomable grace. And it came to pass, at the break of dawn, that Moses rose early and ascended the mountain, seeking the face of the Lord. The promise of the land lay heavy upon his heart, and in the presence of the Almighty, he poured out his soul. "O Lord," he cried, "your people stand at the precipice of a great inheritance. Grant them the spirit of courage and conviction as they prepare to cross over, lest they falter like their forefathers who looked back upon Egypt." The Lord answered him, saying, "Fear not, for I am with you. Go down and prepare the people. Consecrate them for tomorrow, for I shall do wonders among them. They will witness the fruits of their faith, and through them, the nations will know my glory." Moses descended the mountain, and with urgency, he gathered the elders of Israel. "Hearken to the words of the Lord, for he commands you to set yourselves apart. Wash your garments and purify your hearts, for in 3 days you shall pass over the Jordan to the land which the Lord has given you." The people listened intently, an electric anticipation stirring within them. They were to consecrate themselves, to prepare spiritually and physically, for the wonders that lay ahead. From dawn until dusk, the camp became a hive of activity, children's laughter mingling with the solemnity of prayer. Each tent became a sanctum, where families gathered, seeking the Lord's face. On the appointed day, the sun rose radiant and bright above the horizon. The people gathered at the banks of the Jordan, their hearts aflame with excitement and fear. The waters rushed mightily, a symbol of the overwhelming trials that lay before them. Yet, they remembered the mighty hand of God. Caleb stood boldly among them, lifting his voice, "The Lord is our stronghold. Be not afraid, for the land flows with milk and honey, and he has promised it to us." Then Moses, filled with the Spirit, spoke with authority. "Follow the Ark of the Covenant, for it is the symbol of the presence of the Lord among us. Let the priests bear it before you, for as soon as the soles of their feet touch the water, the Lord shall part the waters before you." The priests stepped forth, hearts pounding, faith wavering as they approached the rushing flood, yet they pressed on. The moment their feet touched the surface, the waters of the Jordan parted, rising in a heap, and the ground beneath became dry. A collective gasp arose from the assembly, followed by jubilant shouts of praise. The Lord had indeed made a way. As the people crossed, one by one, they beheld the miraculous power of God at work. The fear that had once gripped them began to melt away, replaced by awe and reverence for their God. Each family, each tribe, marched forward, recounting the tales of their deliverance from Egypt, forging a legacy of faith anew. Once they had crossed, the Lord spoke unto Joshua, saying, Choose 12 men, one from each tribe, and command them to take up stones from the midst of the Jordan. Let these stones serve as a sign among the people, so that when their children ask, What do these stones signify? You shall tell them of the mighty works of the Lord. Thus, the stones were gathered, and an altar was built where the people could remember the grace and power of their God. And the fears that had once plagued them began to dissolve, giving rise to a united heart, as they proclaimed the faithfulness of the Lord who brought them into their inheritance. With hearts aflame with new hope, they began to realize that the journey was more than the arrival at the promised land, it was also about the transformations wrought within them. Little did they know that the true establishment of their identity as a people would be revealed in the trials to come, each victory a reminder of the sovereign plan of God unfolding for His glory. What further wonders awaited them was veiled in the shadows of future battles and blessings, yet one truth resounded above all: God's purpose was ever present, and the tapestry of their redemption was being weaved with each step taken in faith. And it came to pass, when the people had crossed over the Jordan, that they encamped in Gilgal, and there they erected the stones taken from the riverbed. The elders of Israel gathered, and Joshua stood among them, saying, This day shall be a memorial unto you, for the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan before you until you were passed over, as He did to the Red Sea, which He dried up before us until we had crossed over. The purpose of this memorial was clear: Let it be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean ye by these stones? Ye shall answer them, that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord when it passed over the Jordan. These stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever. And the people embraced this new command, their hearts swelling with the faithfulness of God. Mothers held their children close, recounting the wondrous deeds of the Lord, how He guided them through the wilderness, and how He split the waters before them, safe into His promised land. But as night fell over Gilgal, uneasiness crept into the hearts of some. Whispers spread among the assembled tribes, laced with anxiety and doubt. What shall we do against the inhabitants of this land? They pondered. For the cities of Canaan stood fortified, and the giants of the land loomed like shadows against the moonlit sky. When Joshua heard the murmurs, he called for the leaders of the tribes, and with a firm voice, he said, Fear not. For as we have seen His hand at work, so shall the Lord fight for us in the battles to come. This land is ours by His promise, and we shall claim it, doing as He commands. Yet, even as he spoke with boldness, he sensed the wrestling of spirits, unaware of the trials that lay ahead. The Lord had foreseen the struggles of His people, speaking to Joshua in the quiet of the night. Rise, for the time of your testing is at hand. You must circumcise the sons who were born in the wilderness, for they have not been initiated into the covenant of my people. Thus, upon the second night in Gilgal, the painful yet vital duty of physical and spiritual renewal commenced. Each man came forth, reluctant yet resolute. The place was called Gilgal, meaning roll away, for the Lord had rolled away the reproach of Egypt from them. In their obedience, they found a deeper connection, an unfurling of their identity as chosen people dedicated to the God of their forefathers. As they healed and received strength in their bodies, the Lord commanded them, You shall celebrate the Passover on the 14th day of the month at evening in the plains of Jericho. And so they prepared, setting apart the lamb, unleavened bread, and bitter herbs, a reminder of their deliverance. Yet as they ate, a whisper of dread surfaced: Jericho, a city walled and mighty, awaited them. But frolicking under the stars, their faith was being forged anew. Their struggles would shape them into warriors of the Most High, preparing their hearts for the unseen battles ahead. With spirits uplifted, they arose from their tables, recalling the covenant God had made with their fathers. The taste of the Passover lingered sweet upon their lips, a divine remembrance of salvation and hope, an unsung melody of promises renewed. For as they stood, draped in memories of their deliverance, the voice of the Lord echoed in Joshua's spirit, You will not fight alone, for this is but the beginning of a great unfolding. My mighty hand will guide you, and in the days to come, you shall witness wonders beyond your understanding. Just then, a man appeared, sword drawn, standing before Joshua. Are you for us, or for our adversaries?" Joshua demanded, his heart racing. "Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come." The air trembled with the presence of divine authority as realization dawned upon them both. This was a holy moment. And in that silence, the stage was set for God's sovereign plan to clash gloriously with the trials ahead. What awaited in the coming skirmishes and conquests was an unraveling of grace, courage, and unprecedented victory. And it came to pass that as the captain of the host of the Lord stood before Joshua, the trembling earth at his feet resonated with heavenly purpose. Joshua fell on his face to the ground, worshipping, and said, "What saith my Lord unto his servant?" And the captain commanded him, "Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy." And Joshua did so, his heart filled with awe, understanding that the Almighty was preparing them for great deeds. Thus, the Lord spoke again, revealing to Joshua the plan against Jericho. "See, I have given into thy hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And you shall march around the city, all ye men of war, going round about the city once. This thou shalt do for 6 days." Pondering the command from the Lord, Joshua gathered the priests and the people. "You shall carry the ark of the covenant," he proclaimed, "and the 7 priests shall bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Arkansas." With the people assembled, they stood at the gates of that fortified city, gazing at its towering walls. Fear gripped the hearts of some, but boldness arose in others as they recalled the words of their leader and the sovereign assurance of God. And on the first day, they complied, as the Lord had commanded. The men of war marched in silence, their hearts beating in rhythm with the hope that coursed through their veins. The priests blew their trumpets, sending forth a heavenly sound that echoed among the stones of Jericho. For 6 days they did this, encircling the city, day by day, trusting the unseen hand of their God. The inhabitants of Jericho mocked and scoffed, seeing but a procession of men. What power could come from such an act? Yet, in their mockery, they could not perceive the heavenly conflict unfolding above their heads, where angels watched over Israel with anticipation. On the 7th day, they rose early at the dawn of day, and the Lord's voice rang clear in their hearts. "Go around the city 7 times, for on this day, when the priests blow with the trumpets, you shall shout with a great shout." And as they marched, a sound arose, a clarion call of faith, not mere noise, but a song of trust imbued with the promises of the Lord. With each revolution around the city, their confidence surged, the atmosphere thick with the tension of divine expectation. When they had circled Jericho for the 7th time, the priests blew their trumpets, and Joshua commanded the people, "Shout! For the Lord hath given you the city." And as the voice of the people ascended, a miraculous shattering echoed through the air, for the walls of Jericho fell down flat, collapsing under the weight of their collective faith, as fulfilled Scripture declared the might of God. In that moment, the spirit of fear that had dwelt upon Israel was replaced with jubilation. They rushed forth, claiming what was theirs by covenant, their hearts ablaze with the palpable thrill of victory. They did not just conquer a city, they bore witness to the trustworthiness of their God, their Redeemer, who had delivered them by his mighty right hand. Yet even in their triumph, the Lord spoke to Joshua, "Take heed unto the accursed thing, lest you make yourselves accursed." For in every victory, darkness lurked, and the hearts of men are inclined toward temptation. As the spoils lay before them, the testing of their faith would be but a breath away. And in this unfolding, the promise remained ever true. His purposes were at work, shaping a people devoted to him, and calling them to rise in holiness and trust. But what trials awaited them in the shadows of their triumph? What unseen struggles would redefine their path as they pressed forward into the unknown? The journey of faith was fraught with challenges yet to come, where every step taken would echo through the annals of history, revealing the depths of God's divine plan. And it came to pass, after the fall of Jericho, that the children of Israel stood in the aftermath of victory, heart-soaring with the triumph that God had granted them. Yet, the warning of the Lord lingered in the air, demanding attention and reverent heed. Joshua gathered the leaders of the tribes, his voice solemn, "Let us approach the Lord, that we may seek understanding and prepare for what lies beyond. As they assembled, he recounted the words of the Lord, "Take heed unto the accursed thing, lest you make yourselves accursed." Confusion filled the hearts of the people, for the spoils of Jericho glimmered with promise, and the temptation of gain stirred desire within. "We must be holy unto the Lord," Joshua urged, as an unseen shroud of foreboding descended upon them. Then, a man named Achan, of the tribe of Judah, looked upon the gold, silver, and a beautiful garment, and his heart was captivated. He took of the accursed items, hiding them in his tent, cloaking his disobedience while others rejoiced in their victory. And the tribe of Israel was unaware, for Achan's choice to forsake God's command would soon echo in the valleys of their journey. "We are not to be ensnared by temptation," Joshua warned, knowing that unconfessed sin could rend their covenant with God, exposing them to his wrath. The next day, emboldened by his earlier triumph, Joshua sent men to Ai, a city near Jericho. "Go up and spy the land," he commanded, and they returned to inform him, "There are but a few men in Ai, we shall take it with ease." Thus, he did not consult the Lord, unveiling the first crack in their unity. Relying on their own strength, they ascended to Ai, confident yet unaware of the lurking shadow of sin that had followed them. As they approached, the men of Ai rose up against them, driving them back, and 36 men fell, their bodies strewn like fallen leaves in the wake of a storm. Panic swept through Israel. "What has happened?" they wailed, falling before the Lord's presence, mourning their defeat. Joshua rent his garments, falling on his face before the Ark of the Covenant, beseeching God. "O Lord, why have you brought this people over Jordan to deliver us into the hands of our enemies? What shall I say when Israel turneth their backs before their enemies?" And the Lord answered him, "Get thee up, wherefore leest thou thus upon thy face? Israel hath sinned, and they have also transgressed my covenant." The weight of divine retribution rested heavy upon Joshua's shoulders, for one man's sin had made a nation unclean. The Lord commanded him, "Sanctify the people." Joshua rose, gathering them as the Lord instructed, revealing that a choice made in shadow had cast a pall over their future. "Bring forth every tribe, family, and man," he declared, as the tension thickened like a storm cloud on the horizon. When Achan was revealed, the hearts of the people quaked. "I have sinned," he confessed, "for I saw the spoils and coveted them." The consequences were dire as God's holiness demanded justice. The reverberation of woe cascaded through the camp, and the people were faced with the truth that in every victory, there lies the potential for defeat when straying from divine command. Yet, even in this dark chapter, the Lord promised restoration. "After you have purged the evil from among you, I will be with you. Rise up and go against Ai, for I will deliver it into your hand." Thus, a new resolve pulsed through the camp, each heart ready to rededicate to the holy path set before them. The day was dawning, and the battle ahead would unveil God's grace entwined with his severity, teaching his people that obedience is the pathway to blessing. But a deeper mystery loomed over their journey, one that pointed beyond the city walls of Ai yet revealed the heart of God's unyielding love and sovereignty. What wonders awaited them in the valley yet unseen? What lessons etched in the fabric of faith would guide their steps through trials and triumphs alike? The unfolding of God's redemptive plan beckoned, a divine tapestry woven through each choice made in the shadow of obedience and grace. And it came to pass, after the purging of Achan from the midst of Israel, that Joshua arose early in the morning, his heart resolute, knowing the Lord had spoken and would fulfill his promise. He commanded the people, "Prepare yourselves, for we shall go against Ai. Set your faces toward the city, for the hand of the Lord is upon us." The elders of Israel gathered around Joshua, their eyes gleaming with fresh hope. They were emboldened, having seen the seriousness of sin but also the patience of their God. Each family came forth, cleansed of their disobedience, ready to reclaim what had been lost: trust, unity, and the favor of the Almighty. Joshua laid out the plan before them. He spoke of ambush, of strategic placement as the Lord had instructed. "We shall take the city by cunning. Let some of you lie in wait behind the city, while others draw them out into the open. The people's countenance brightened, for they knew the confidence they had found in faith. And when we draw them out, you will spring upon the city, and the Lord shall deliver it into our hands, he urged. As they marched towards Ai, the breath of the wind carried whispers of war, and the heart of Israel thumped as one, echoing like a drum in the stillness of morning. Joshua, standing with the Ark of the Covenant, led the way, directing the soldiers who were ready for battle, their swords gleaming against the early sun. When they reached the valley, Joshua and the armed men presented themselves before Ai. The king of Ai, seeing their approach, gathered his men, believing them vulnerable without the entire camp of Israel behind them. They underestimated the resolve infused with the Spirit of God following the purification of their ranks. As anticipated, when the men of Ai surged forth from their walls, eager for victory, the Israelites feigned a retreat running towards the wilderness, luring them into their divine snare. The ambushers, hidden in the back, saw the perfect moment and rushed forward, taking the city that had stood defiant against the Lord's command. A fire blazed in the hearts of the Israelites as they surged into Ai, taking it in a firestorm of righteous indignation and holy fervor. The gates fell and the walls trembled as the battle was turned in their favor. "The Lord is with us," they cried, unleashing shouts of victory that rang through the hills, shaking the very dust underfoot. In that moment, as the walls cratered and the flames roared, Joshua lifted his spear toward heaven, a cry breaking forth from his lips, "See how the Lord hath delivered our enemies into our hand." The hearts of the people rejoiced, for their faith had broken the chains of their doubts. But unbeknownst to them, a deeper plan was unfurling behind the horizon. From the ashes of Ai to the mountains yet unscathed, the sovereignty of the Lord wove a story far greater than their immediate triumph. For it was not merely the city of Ai that would fall, but through this unfolding of events, the fate of nations would be intertwined. And in the midst of victorious cries, a gentle whisper stirred in the hearts of the elders, "What purpose is this in the eyes of the Almighty? For surely, beyond the city gates lies a land promised, yet perilous trials await." Thus, the people of Israel stood on the brink of divine adventure, unaware of the deeper truths that would soon be revealed. The question lingered in the air, where destiny loomed large, what greater lesson awaited them in the sacred chapters of their journey, hidden deep in the fabric of his sovereign design? And it came to pass after the conquest of Ai, that Joshua gathered the people once more at the foot of Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim, to renew the covenant of the Lord with them. This was as Moses had commanded, that the tribes of Israel stand in their appointed places, with half upon one mountain and half upon the other. Joshua spoke unto the people, "Hear, O Israel. This day ye have seen the mighty hand of God move among you. For the Lord has offered you a memorial this land, where your feet have trodden and your enemies have fallen. Remember his words, that you might walk in his ways." As the people stood in silence, Joshua called forth the priests who bore the Ark of the Covenant. The presence of the Lord hovered like a cloud among them, and all Israel trembled in awe. "Let us give thanks," he proclaimed, "for our God has fought for us and delivered our foes. Let us speak the blessings and curses that the Lord commands." The Levites stood upon Mount Gerizim and pronounced blessings upon the people. "Blessed shall you be in the city and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground." The voices of the Levites echoed across the valley, a melody of hope and covenant promises ringing in the hearts of those who listened. But with each blessing, there came a reminder of the covenant duties, for the curses were also spoken from Mount Ebal. "Cursed be he that setteth light by his father or his mother. Cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark." The warnings hung heavy in the air, a solemn reminder of the faithfulness required of them. Joshua turned his gaze upon the people, their faces reflecting both fear and faith. "Take heed to these words," he instructed. "For these commandments are your life, and through your obedience shall the Lord establish you as a great nation in the land." As the sun began to set upon the horizon, the flickering shadows recalled the long journeys and the trials yet to come. For not all the inhabitants of Canaan had yielded to their might, and the nations still sought to rise against them, desiring to extinguish the light that the Lord had kindled through his chosen people. But God's whisper echoed through the land, intertwining his plans with theirs. Among the cities yet standing, the hearts of kings were beginning to tremble as news of Israel's victory spread like wildfire. The despair of their enemies was wrought by the might of the Almighty, whose purpose would not be thwarted. And even then, as the people feasted in celebration of their victory, Joshua sensed the stirring of the Spirit, the winds of a greater calling. There was more to accomplish, more to discover. The land held hidden treasures, both of earthly plenty and of spiritual legacy. In the twilight moment, as the stars began to twinkle in the vast sky, Joshua heard the faintest whisper of divine promise, "For it is not just this land that shall be given unto you, but through you, I shall bring forth a seed that shall bless every nation of the earth." Thus, the hearts of the people quickened, for they were a part of something beyond their understanding, a divine narrative entwined with every trial and triumph. What greater purpose did the Lord hold hidden in the chambers of his sovereignty? The air was thick with anticipation as they pondered, knowing that their journey was far from over. What revelation awaited them in the sanctity of his covenant promise? And it came to pass, as the children of Israel dwelt in the land flowing with milk and honey, the days of conquest began to give way to the seasons of settling. Joshua, anointed leader, called the tribes together at Shechem, a sanctuary of old, and proclaimed before them the faithfulness of God. "Hearken unto me, O Israel," he thundered, "for the Lord has led us through the wilderness and gifted us the land of Canaan." As the gathered multitude listened, a stillness fell over them, a holy moment saturated with gratitude and reverence. What shall be the response of our hearts? Joshua continued, "For the God who parted the waters and tore down the walls of Jericho commands your fidelity." He reminded them of the past, weaving through their memories the plagues of Egypt, the parting of the Red Sea, the giving of the law at Sinai, and the constant provision in the wilderness. Just as he has been true to his promises, now, it is time for you to commit your hearts to him. With the elders standing beside him, Joshua placed before them the choice set before every generation of faith: "Choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the idol gods of your fathers, beyond the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." Murmurs of resolve surged through the assembly. The tribes heaved as one. "We will serve the Lord. He is our God," they proclaimed, their voices rising like incense to the heavens. They remembered the dread they had felt in their hearts, the shadows of defeat they had overcome, and the identity they had been given: chosen, beloved, and blessed to be a light unto the nations. Then Joshua renewed the covenant before them, writing the words in the book of the law, a sacred testament to their allegiance. He lifted a great stone and placed it under the oak at Shechem, saying, "This stone shall be a witness against us, for it has heard all the words of the Lord which he spoke to us. It shall be a reminder of our vows to him." As a collective promise echoed through the land, the faces of the people gleamed with purpose. God had indeed proven himself true time and time again, his faithfulness renewed before their eyes in every season. Yet the legacy, still unfolding, needed guardians. Those who had seen the miraculous would soon pass into glory. And the new generation, raised in a land of blessings, must navigate the trials of faith on their own. Joshua, sensing the need for steadfastness, called for leaders to be raised among them, men and women who would immerse themselves in the Holy Word, ensuring that future generations would remember. "You shall teach your children diligently," he declared, binding these truths upon their hearts, so that they will not stray from the ways of the Lord. For as they grow, they must understand the covenant of promise, the unwavering truth that God is with us, even until the end of the age. As years turned to decades, the shadows of faith and doubt danced across the land. Israel dwelled in the midst of the Canaanites, and the pull of idolatry beckoned to their hearts. Yet the faithful among them held fast to the teachings and the stone of witness. In the rhythm of life, they kept the memories alive, sharing stories around firelight, reviving the fresh fire of faith each generation. And in all these things, the Lord was not distant. His heart yearned for his people, speaking to the remnant in whispers of mercy, nudging them to return to him. The Spirit of God remained with the faithful, urging them to trust in his ways, to uphold his law, and to embrace their calling as a nation set apart for his glory. As they traversed through the seasons of conflict and peace, victories and failures, the lessons learned echoed through the heavens. The trials of Israel shaped a legacy, providing wisdom woven among the fabric of suffering and triumph, revealing that every stone laid in remembrance spoke of redemption. For as the decades unfurled, prophecies began to spark within the hearts of the faithful. They sensed that the grand tapestry of divine purpose was yet to reach its zenith in the promised one, who would come to fulfill the covenant of salvation, promising life eternal. In the fullness of time, as God had orchestrated, the countenance of his love would shine forth from the lineage of Israel, revealing that through their connection to the Almighty, the nations of the earth would be blessed in ways they had yet to understand. And thus, the journey continued, threaded with the faith of those who had gone before, the hope of those who walked in the present, and the promises that awaited them in the horizon. Israel stood, rooted in God's faithfulness, ready to witness the fulfillment of his ever-unfolding plan, a beautiful testament of grace that transcended generations. It is in this sacred invitation that we find our own place within the grand narrative. We too are partakers of this divine story, called to align our hearts to his fleeting whispers and eternal promises. Believer, do not let your faith falter. Stand firm in the shadows and light of your journey, knowing that his sovereignty governs your path. Now is the time to step into the fullness of his grace. If you resonate with this truth, join our community today. Subscribe immediately to this channel, so you do not miss the next powerful biblical stories that will ignite your faith. Leave a like now to help us spread God's word through the algorithm, reaching the hearts that are longing for his truth. Comment below with your reflections and share how this remarkable biblical story has impacted your journey of faith. You need to engage with this powerful testimony. Finally, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's unwavering truth today. Don't wait even one more second. Let us draw in the faithful, for there is a movement of grace and hope waiting to engulf those who seek him.